welcome to Before I Do. My name is Charmaine Jennings.
My name is Walter Jennings, and we are your Couples Academy practitioners.
Yeah, so this is the show that we talk about dating, relationships. It's for people that you might be dating, you might be thinking about getting married, you might not even be thinking about getting married, but this is the place where we encourage you to have courageous conversations. So thank you for tuning in.
Absolutely. This is intended to be an interactive show, so please be sure to put your comments in the chat. We also are going to be having some questions and some opportunities for you to contribute, so be sure that you respond accordingly. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. Charmaine, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. And so this week we're picking up kind of where we left off on toxic expectations. Man, and the word toxic is thrown around in 2022, 2021 a lot, right? Toxic. And so the title of this show is called Toxic Expectations, but we're speaking about love languages. And so usually you don't hear those two really spoken about together, right? We don't usually hear about toxicity in the 5 love languages because, man, it's about love.
Right.
It's a love thing, right? And so tonight we want to talk about when there's great expectations, but when great expectations move from being, well-intended to toxic, right?
Again, with the love languages as popularized by the book by Dr. Gary Chapman, love languages are used to help to explain and provide clarity in the ways in which couples express love. And so just like with a foreign language, Charmaine actually speaks fluent Spanish. And so there will be times where she will speak in Spanish and I may not be able to understand her. So if I did want to understand her when she speaks Spanish, I would need to learn it as well and become fluent in it. Such is the same thing when it comes to love languages. Dr. Gary Chapman and his studies show that most of us fall within the category of having 2 primary of 5 different love languages. However, what happens when those love languages turn toxic and when they are turned in a way that becomes counterproductive and destructive to a relationship? So last week we talked about acts of service.
Yes, my favorite. Acts of service.
That's your number 1, right?
That is my number 1.
Her number 1 language, so that means I stay busy, folding and putting up clothes, washing cars, going to the grocery store, all those types of things that show that I love her, and that's part of acts of service. However, this week we are actually delving into what is formerly my number 2. It was my number 2 love language. It is no longer now, but talking about receiving gifts. We are talking about those physical gifts. For those of you that are gifts in your top 2 love languages, go ahead and put that in the comment section.
Yes, we want to hear from you.
All my gift people out there, go ahead and put your shout out in the chat if you are gifts in your top 2.
And individuals whose love languages are gifts, they get a bad reputation. Like, this is the love language that gets the worst reputation because people stereotype them.
That's right.
Yep. They accuse them of being materialistic and all kind of things, and it's not about that. So when we unpack that specific, unique love language, right, we want to dig deeper and to really find out, what does it mean if that's your love language, is receiving gifts?
Yeah, and according to the Huffington Post, receiving gifts is the most misunderstood of all of the 5 love languages, just as Charmaine mentioned. And Dr. Nicole Saunders says people seem to look down on receiving gifts as a love language and attach it to unfair expectations and misconceptions about people, and they can be categorized as materialistic, frivolous, and shallow.
Right. And this isn't true. It is not true. A lot of times it's just really based on the judgment of others, right? Because it's really not about the gift. When you really unpack this love language, it's not about the gift. It's not about the dollar amount necessarily. It's really about the thought that you put in, that gift really genuinely shows that, man, this person knows me. They see me. They heard me, right? And so it could be a small gift. A lot of times people whose love language are gifts, they enjoy just receiving a little small gift. It literally could be bringing home a box of strawberry fruit snacks.
That's right. So, as a former receiving gift love language individual, it is not necessarily about the size of the gift.
Mhm.
It's not about it being a big gift or a small gift. It's not about it being expensive. It really is about the thought. And the biggest challenge that we have is getting our loved ones to understand that it really is the thought that count. Not just the fact that you thought about me, but the fact that you also put thought in the gift and knowing me well enough to know something that I would like. So it really is about understanding and expressing ourselves through the whole idea of the gift that is being given to us being an expression of something that really aligns with how we love and how we feel.
And culture, deep rooted culture, always plays a role in our perspectives, right? Our personality and the environment in which we grew up and the environments in which we operate. So if gifts, if that's a part of like your dynamics in your family and your friendship circles, then it can seem normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can seem normal. It can be like, why wouldn't my partner know how to buy a gift that thoroughly speaks to who I am? Well, guess what? If it's not your love language, for some people, they really struggle with that process. So tonight, we definitely want to unpack just some questions for you. And so we want to open up with our first speak now question of the night, which is, do gift cards suffice as a thoughtful item for a person whose love language is receiving gifts? Now, come on now. Where are my gift card giving people out here? All right. Can I get some soldiers? Can I get some people in agreement with me? All right. And I'm not trying to be biased, but do you really think, if you're a gifts person, can a gift card really suffice as a thoughtful item for a person whose love language is receiving gifts?
Now, before you answer that question, just to clarify that when it comes to receiving gifts as a love language, it is defined as an actual gift that serves as a tangible, symbolic gesture and reminder of the love shared. Taking the time to pick out a gift specific for a person shows that they are worth your time and energy. The characteristics of a gift are tangible, thoughtful, and personal.
All
Tangible,
right.
Thoughtful, and personal.
So, with that being said, can a gift card suffice as a sufficient gift for somebody whose love language is gift?
I have an answer, and my answer is no. Not because, again, I won't spend your gift card. I absolutely will spend the gift card. And the reason why we're laughing at this is because there have been situations where she's given me a gift card, and I'm like, that is such the easy way out. Like that is so lazy. That is so just you're scared and you're afraid of being wrong. And so, it is not for those of us who are, I know for me, I don't want to say for those of us, for me, I would rather you get me a gift and you make an effort to give me a gift that you think that I would like and get it wrong than you would to get a gift card and not put any thought into the gift. That's me.
All right. So I will just put it out there that, I struggle with that. So earlier on in our, first of all, we are marriage coaches. All right. So we're not just random people, talking. We are coaches. But with our clients, it's so funny. We do have these funny moments where earlier in our marriage, literally, like, my feelings were hurt. Like I bought him certain gift cards, and my thinking was, oh my gosh, he could have this, he could eat at this place on his lunch hour throughout the week. He can do this, he can do that. So I bought like a whole week's worth of like gift cards, thinking that it was gonna really speak to him. No.
It spoke to me all right.
My little feelings. He told me there was no thought in those gift cards whatsoever, and I needed to do better. Like I needed to go and take a class. Okay, so I'm just gonna tell y'all, it caused some problems in the marriage.
Listen, love, it requires you to be brave. Love requires you to be vulnerable. And love requires you to step out on faith. Sometimes you're gonna get it wrong, but again, it's not about being perfect. It's about being real. It is about being authentic.
Okay.
It is about the willingness to be a risk taker.
Okay.
Right. And we define, oftentimes we usually box risk taking in to the professional realm and to crazy stuff like jumping out of an airplane. But for some people, taking a risk is buying you a gift that you may actually not like, and really believing that the thought does matter. Want to give a quick shout out to Darnell. Darnell says, shout out to North Carolina. Shout out to Charlotte, Queen City in the house. And Darnell says, I feel like it can be, as far as if the gift card is connected to something that the person is passionate for, then the thought is meaningful. Absolutely.
See, I got a witness right there. You love food. You're passionate about food. That's something that we're foodies. So, that was thought.
Yeah, it was, but I feel like you can do a little better.
I can do better. I will say this though. For individuals who, gifts is not your love language, there are a lot of factors that come into play. And you have to be strategic when, for example, I wasn't a shopper. So I don't like going to the store. I don't like going shopping. So that stereotype about all women like to shop, that's not true. I don't like going to the stores. And if I do, I like to go in there, and in 5 minutes, I need to see something I like. Something needs to catch my eye. It needs to draw me in. It's the right size, and I'm out. So it can be hard if you don't like to shop and it's not your love language. It really does require paying attention to your partner and being strategic. So I advise you, if gifts are not your love language, you got to do some homework. You really have to study your partner, and it can't just be the week before a holiday, a major birthday, a major relationship event. Like, you got to start, and that's one of our tips later on, but you need to start tracking some notes. So the speak now or forever hold your peace question was, can a gift card really serve as a thoughtful, personal gift?
Now, as we talk about that, we want to transition into our to have and to hold scenario.
Yes.
All right. So we are actually going to give y'all some time to think about this, and we're going to go into a break. To have and to hold scenario goes like this. Spouse number one buys spouse number two a gift. Spouse number two doesn't like the gift
at all,
but expresses to spouse number one that it's the thought that counts. Spouse number one gets upset and calls spouse number two unappreciative. How can spouse number two be truthful but supportive in spouse number one's efforts? And how can spouse number one, who received the gift, who gave the gift, remain open to spouse number two's love language?
Okay, we got to summarize that to just break it down. So we want you to put yourself in the shoes. You bought your spouse partner a gift. The partner received the gift and said, it's the thought that counts. You get upset and say, you know what, you are so unappreciative. And so in this scenario, we want to know how can pretty much you continue to support the person whose love language is gifts, right? How can you encourage the person who purchased the gift, but that's not their love language? How can both people encourage each other to continue to pour in each other?
Absolutely. So as you all mull over that, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be back with more Before I Do. All right, everybody, welcome back to Before I Do. Tonight, we are talking about when love languages turn toxic. Focusing on receiving gifts. Yes. Once again, our to have and to hold scenario goes like this. Spouse number one buys spouse number two a gift. Spouse number two doesn't like the gift, but expresses to spouse number one that it's the thought that counts. Spouse number one gets upset and calls spouse number two unappreciative. So how can spouse number two be truthful and still supportive in spouse number one's efforts, and how can spouse one remain open to spouse number two's love language?
How can you tell someone that, you know what, I don't really like this gift, but I appreciate you, right, without hurting their feelings? How can you do it in a very thoughtful way, but you want to be truthful, right? Because you don't want them to believe they like a gift that you really don't, right? And so how do you do that in remaining truthful, but being honest with them and letting them know, oh, I really appreciate it. So you say it's the thought that matters. I really appreciate this. But then, you know what? Your spouse takes offense to that, gets upset, call you unappreciative. And then what do you do?
So I think for us, we have a strategy that we use called the 3 T's. And I think the 3 T's are very appropriate, which is time, tone, and text. So it's making sure that you are saying the right thing.
This is a communication
Absolutely. This is a communication strategy. So making sure that you are saying the right thing at the right time in the right way.
Right.
So when you are first receiving a gift, it's important, first of all, to take inventory of it, because sometimes we will say we don't like something and we haven't even taken the time to really investigate to either see what it is or to see if we really would enjoy it. So be careful not to make a snap judgment. Give yourself a minute to actually process exactly what it is, and then maybe follow up with them after the fact to have a conversation with them about the gift. But obviously emotions are high. When someone first gives you a gift, they're excited. They want you to open it and look at it. And we're not telling you to lie. What we're saying is just basically give yourself some time with that gift and make sure that you don't quench the enthusiasm of that person by just going, wow, I don't like it. There is a way in order to be tactful in that. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And you know what? And if you are a spiritual person, meaning you're a believer, then everything. You can speak life and death, with your word. So it is very important for you to pray.
Yeah.
To ask God for the right timing, to get God's permission as to what the right timing is, right? Your tone of voice, which is how you say what you say. And then the last T is pretty much the text. So the word choice, right? Because God knows your partner better than you do. They know their personality and they know what words are going to speak genuinely to their hearts that would allow them to receive that statement, right? And where it won't feel like a rejection more than a no. I'm just providing clarity for you in this area. Because there's times where I would buy a shirt and I just know Walter's gonna love this shirt. He's like, no, I don't like horizontal, plaid. I don't like thin plaid. I like thick plaid. And I'm like, okay, got that one wrong. Yeah. We're gonna try again.
And the other thing is too, right? If it's the thought that counts, ask them what the thought was.
Yes.
What was the thought process behind the person? What would you like? What? Oh wow, this is interesting. What made you buy this? What drew you to it? What about this purchase made you think of me? What made you think that I would like it? Give them the chance to really talk through what the thought was that made them want to purchase it for you. It provides clarity also too as to how they may see you, and it provides an opportunity and sets the stage for a courageous conversation where you're able to actually give your true thoughts about the gift.
And you just model how to say that, right? You might model the right tone. Tell me what about this gift made you think of me versus, man, what were you thinking?
Exactly.
Completely different tones.
Yep.
And so in premarital counseling, we often go through these scenarios and really practice these communication styles because, again, culturally, sometimes you don't know how your tone comes off, your timing and your word choice. It is very cultural, and sometimes where you might not think you're rude, your partner absolutely can process your response as rude.
We got a comment from Darnell. Darnell says spouse number 1 should ask spouse number 2 to clarify.
That's right.
And then he goes on to say spouse number 2 should not state it's the thought that counts if they're going to be picky. And we're getting ready to jump into these these toxic receivers, right? He says, I think they should have a conversation beforehand on the type of things that they like.
Absolutely.
And that is the awesome thing about gift giving is that it's one of those things to where when you have the right attitude when it comes to receiving gifts, then it's an adventure for both of you. You want your partner to be excited about giving you something where it becomes like when it comes to giving gifts, because gift giving was a part of my love language. I was excited about the challenge of getting her something that she wasn't expecting just to see if she would like it.
Yeah.
So, obviously I wouldn't feel good if it was something where I missed, but again, it was the whole thrill and the seeking of the chase.
I will say this too. Well, personality assessments. First of all, Couples Academy is very, very, very blessed because our CEO, Danielle, she provides Enneagrams, and it really provides a thorough, in-depth unpacking of who your partner is, who you are, and your compatibility. But we utilize, as practitioners, we utilize personality assessments because you'll find that some personality types are a little bit more, I don't want to say rigid, but definitely they have a concrete sequential way of processing life. And so I will admit, sometimes I get in those phases where I like what I like and I know what I like. And so I go through these like sweet snacks. And I'm like, I love Werther's. Like, I love Werther's, right? And so one day, Walter accidentally bought me, instead of the hard candy Werther's, he bought me the caramel-filled Werther's. And I was like, oh, this is not my jam. This is not my jam, right? I didn't think I would like them. And then when I tell you I taste one of those things, and like now I will not eat the hard candy Werther's because the caramel-filled Werther's, they're my fave. So he's absolutely right. As a strategy, you try it. You might like it, right? If your spouse buys you something and it's sexy and you looking like, that is not me at all. Try it. You might like it, right? And so sometimes your partner is literally put in your life to stretch you, to grow you, to enhance you. So you do have to be a little bit open in the gift process and not being so rigid and committed to your likes and your interests.
Absolutely. So as we talk about the whole idea of becoming a receiver, we want to avoid becoming a toxic receiver. And some of the characteristics and some of the things that can lead to being a toxic gift receiver. Number one, being bound to brand names. I wanted to call them something else. In the streets, they call them a brand name, you know, where they got to have everything brand name. And it's very important that you not be so caught up in all of the popular brand names, the most expensive stuff. And just as I believe was Darnell was mentioning, where you're so rigid that you're not able to see the beauty and appreciate the gift just because it's not a brand name or a name that you know.
All right. And then number 2, comparing gifts. Now, this can be definitely extremely a toxic expectation. Well, you know what? You bought me flowers. You know, you didn't buy me the same flowers that you bought your mama. Your mama got red roses. She got 3 dozen red roses. I only got 2 dozen red roses. Like, this can be a problem, ladies and gentlemen. So you don't ever want to get into the comparison game of gifts. Clearly you love them more because you bought them this gift and you only gave me this. That will put you in the category of being a toxic receiver of gifts. And it really contaminates that love language. It really becomes a distraction to the expression of love.
And the third one is questioning the intentions of the gift giver, not being able to receive the gift by not having and believing that the intentions of the person that's giving the gift are not genuine. So believing that they're only doing it because they were asked or doing it because they're in trouble and it's not genuinely from their heart. Those things will taint your ability to be able to receive the gift.
Absolutely.
And also obviously really taint you being able to receive from your partner. Absolutely. When they may be trying their hardest to actually speak your love language.
You know, it's really tough because you don't ever want to be in a position where especially that third one, it will ruin a relationship.
Yes, it will.
You know, if you're constantly questioning, well, why did you do this? And why did you do this? Well, you only did it because I asked you to do it. And this and that. When you get to that place where you only believe a person is behaving and or responding to you because you had to verbally say it, or a lot of times, you know, we really challenge our clients to look inward and ask yourself, is it really about their behavior and what they're doing, or are you healthy enough to even believe that you're worthy of someone loving you enough to consider you?
2020 Spice has a great question. It says, what about going shopping with your spouse to see what he or she would like? Then for their birthday, you can buy them the style of shoes or dress that they like.
You better, hey, That hits the bell on
Absolutely.
that. Because I'm going to tell you that wind up being a great strategy for our
us.
marriage.
Absolutely.
Because I don't like shopping, because I don't like going to stores and walking for hours, and like for me it's just like, okay, when is this going to be over? Like, yeah, I'm that person, and so that wasn't my jam. But Walter, he is a shopper, he enjoys it or whatever, but I am quality time.
Mm-hmm.
So I love taking him shopping for his birthday and spending money on him, seeing the joy on his face, but also knowing, easing my anxiety, because I know that, man, he's getting things he actually wants.
And
that's a win-win.
On my side, I get to play dress up with my wife. Fellas.
All sexy.
Fellas. If you have not played dress up with your wife, if you have not taken your wife out shopping and and watched her like try on stuff that you want to see her in, you are really missing out. So yeah,
birthday treat.
I'm just saying. I'm saying treat yourself. All right. So we talked about toxicity as it relates to the receivers. Now let's get into these givers, right? These individuals who are giving the gifts. How can gift giving become toxic? So number one, going into bad debt to finance gifts.
Don't do it.
When you are spending above your means, trying to speak your partner's love language, then it is a detriment and a harm to the relationship. And actually, too, you can actually be operating in financial infidelity by being secret in your finances. There were times in our marriage and our relationship where I would actually spend over and above what I was supposed to, and end up having challenges with bills. And she's asking me about what's going on, and I'm not being completely honest with her, and I'm rationalizing in my head, well, I'm trying to surprise her. I love her. She should be able to appreciate it. But she's not going to be able to enjoy it when she knows that it's going to be a situation that impacts our livelihood, where it impacts our everyday bills. And so when you're going into bad debt, and we specify by saying bad debt because a house is not bad debt.
Right.
That's good debt. An engagement ring.
Well,
I'm saying, or what? That's good debt. That's a good investment, right? But the point is that you want to make sure that you're not doing anything that is going to provide you with that's going to put you in bad debt,
right,
as it relates to your gift giving.
And number two, purchasing gifts for yourself.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's not about you.
That's right.
So it becomes a toxic expectation when you, as the gift giver, you start to forget the very person that you were buying the gift for, and next thing you know, you're ringing up everything, and literally 9 out of the 10 items are for you.
They get some shoes, you get some shoes. They get a shirt, you get 2 shirts. They get a car, you got to get a car.
So, and there's nothing wrong with that if you got it and you want it, and that's fine. But all we're saying is it becomes toxic when you completely take the attention away from the person who you initially are supposed to be focusing on. So just be mindful of that.
Absolutely. And number 3 is holding people hostage to keeping the gifts that you give them. Please ring the bell. Now, this is actually toxic on both the giver side and the receiver side. It's toxic on the giver side because what it does is it keeps you tethered to the gift and the actual item and your efforts, rather than you doing it because you love your partner and you want to do something that nice that speaks to them. It's toxic on the receiver side because it actually can lead to hoarding, where now they've collected and they've got all these things, and because of the sentimental value that's perceived connected to them, they don't want to get rid of anything that's been given to them
because it's rude. Like, this person gave me this in 1950. And like, I have to keep it, but you've kept everything.
That's
now
right.
that everyone has given you, and now you have this shrine of memories and items that represent these gifts people have given you, and it's like, wow, you're so attached to the items that, do you feel like your friendships, your relationships are now going to be in jeopardy if I part ways with this gift? Once you give a gift, you have to release it. Whatever that person chooses to do with the gift is on them. right? And so we do have to be very mindful. If you are a giver, don't go to the person's house looking for that very thing that you bought them, and you're almost admiring what you bought them. You have to see what you bought them. You need to, be very careful. When you give it, release it.
It reminds me of those adult children that they go to their parents' house and are like, Mama, where's that Mother's Day card I made for you back in the 3rd grade with the macaroni on it? It's like, baby, I threw that away. The roaches, and we're getting into it. So we can oftentimes do the same thing in our relationships when it comes to things that we give our spouse, and making sure that we give them gifts, that the gifts are about them.
Absolutely.
And once we turn it over and release it, allowing them to be able to determine what it is that they do with it, how long that they keep it. Some heavy stuff, man. Hopefully you all are getting something out of this. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with some solutions and things for you all to keep in mind as it relates to the receiving gifts. So y'all stay tuned.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
Welcome back to Before I Do. We have been exploring and unpacking toxic expectations regarding love languages, and the one that we're specifically talking about tonight is the love language of gift giving. And so we want to really provide some solutions, right? So we know what happens when it starts out good and it gets toxic, right? But what are some solutions to those things? The first thing is we want to remind you is do not despise small beginnings. And that is a scripture in the Bible, Zechariah 4, chapter 10, verse. And we really, when you start dating someone, for those of you who are just dating, right? You've been dating a person 2 months, 2 weeks, 3 months. You don't want to, give them a very expensive gift, right? Because first of all, you're getting to know each other, and it could send the wrong message.
Absolutely.
It could. And then where you start is definitely, you need to level up. As you evolve, as the relationship evolves, the expectations will often evolve. So it's okay to give, nice little simple gifts. A cup of coffee, it can be a gift.
Yeah. And just because as the receiver, right, because you know that the giver can probably get you something more expensive, that doesn't mean that they are obligated when they start giving you gifts at the very beginning to give you an expensive gift. Because again, I'm getting to know you. And so, I may be getting the bag and I may have a lot of money, but that doesn't mean that I'm just going to start out by giving you $10,000 gifts because we just met. So it's really important to, again, always appreciate the effort and the heart behind the gifts that you are being given. And as the giver, don't be afraid to start with small things as you get to know someone. Number 2, maintaining the right intention of why you are giving the gift, making sure that, again, you're not doing it to be controlling, to be manipulative, but you actually are doing it because you are interested in pouring into your partner, making sure that you're getting them gifts that are in alignment with the things that they enjoy. And again, even going back to number 1, it doesn't even have to be jewelry. It could be candy. It could be
their favorite snack.
It could be their favorite snack. It could be something that is inexpensive that they enjoy, that you see that they get for themselves. Charmaine and I, we do it all the time. When she goes to the grocery store, she'll grab me something that she knows I love. When I go to the grocery store or I go somewhere, I'll grab her something that I know that she would enjoy, so I can so we can hook it up for later.
All right. And on that note, number 3 is about being honest, which Walter clearly is tonight. Oh my gosh. So yes, being honest as well is very, very big. And just really making sure that you are not compromising your principles, your values to try to get this gift. It's not worth it if you have to compromise, your financial integrity to get the gift. Or I did this for you, but you did something that, really is going to really get us in trouble later on, or it's going to cause problems for us. So just be honest. If you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. And again, a gift doesn't have to be something that puts you in debt.
Absolutely.
Right? A gift can literally just mean, I see you, I hear you, I love you. And this is a symbol of those three things. I see you, I love you, I think about you when you're not around. And this is a small token.
Talking my language, go keep
appreciation,
going.
All right, to let you know that. So yes, so we apologize to all of you, because it took me a while to jump on board with the love languages. For those of you who are gifters, and I was one of those people that I was in judgment, but I was in judgment because it did require me to take some risks.
Yep.
It required me to have to get past possibly getting it wrong. And I didn't want to get the wrong gift. Let's be real. In 2022, it's kind of hard to get it wrong because people, Amazon, you can have your birthday list on there, a wish list. So, we have a lot more supports now than we did back when we got married. So young couples that couples of all different demographics, again, when we do premarital counseling and or just counseling with married couples, we have a lot more resources that we can support couples in, and this not becoming a challenge.
It's good to be right, but it's even better to be real. So hopefully this has been helpful to you all tonight. We are going to continue on with our love languages. And so we have a very important announcement to make sure that we share with you all, that we are going to, starting next month, we are going to do Speak Now Q&A night. So every last Wednesday night of the month is going to be our Q&A. And so if you have a question about anything, any topic at all when it comes to dating and being in a relationship, text those questions to 678-200-8996, and we will put those in our bucket for the last Wednesday in September, and we will make sure to address those.
We do have one quick question. That was a comment. Now, what happens if your partner, your spouse, gives you a gift and then they take it back? Whoa! And so that definitely, all right. So let me put that in there. All right. So I think Pamela, I don't know if I said that. Hopefully I said it right. So what about when your spouse gives you a gift and then takes it back? Well, first of all, definitely my heart goes out to you, because when someone gives you a gift, you're under the assumption that they genuinely wanted you to have it and that it didn't have any conditions. Ouch. So, when your partner takes a gift back, then what is the messaging there?
Yeah, usually in a situation like that, then it is a means of control. And again, we talked about the manipulation. And so that sounds like that's exactly what it was, where it's based on condition. And love is
pain.
Exactly.
So it's like I gave it to you.
I gave it to you under these conditions. And so now, because of the pain or the disappointment you may have caused me, now I am taking this gift back. And so it is important too that when they take it back, let them have it. As far as we allow them, don't pine over it, because if they take it back, it was not yours. It was not yours from the beginning. And so
there's some condition.
That's unfortunate.
There's a condition. There's something that they want that they're not getting.
Absolutely. That's right.
And there has to be a better strategy on communicating that. Because now it really creates a scar. Because now your partner, when you give a gift and you take it back, it communicates to the partner that I really can't trust you. Do I believe you now, or did I believe you then? Did you really do it because you wanted to give me something nice, or what should I believe? Should I believe it when you initially gave it to me, or should I believe it now that you're taking it away?
Yeah, that's a power play. And it's important, too, to have a courageous conversation about that. Darnell says that he asked the question, is it possible to have more than one love language? Absolutely. So normally happens is that when you take the love languages assessment, your top 2 love languages are the ones that really are the ones that those are the strongest ones with you. And so those usually are your number 1 is obviously your number 1, but your number 2 is right there. So those are the ones that you primarily operate in. And so, yeah, there is definitely room for more than one love language. We have discussed 2, and we are going to be talking about the other 3 in subsequent weeks. We're keeping you all in suspense. We're not going to let you all know what love language we're going to be talking about next week. And so we want to make sure that you all tune in. So be sure to check us out next Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m. right here. Also, be sure to send your question in for our Speak Now Q&A, which will be the last Wednesday in September, to 678-200-8996.
All right, this has been Before I Do. My name is Charmaine Jennings.
My name is Walter Jennings. Like, share, and subscribe at couplesacademy.com. And thank you all so much for joining us this evening. We will see you all next week. Peace, y'all.
All right.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.com.